Welcome to the Asclepion. I'm Kevin McKeag.
And I'm Luke Strom.
Our podcast dives into the deep questions of life. How do we find love, discover our true selves, and live out our dreams in this wild, weird world? We're going to take you on a journey of philosophical inquiry, spiritual adventure.
Okay. Just imagine you're like sitting around a campfire with the homies and you all start opening up and talking about real shit. That's pretty much what we're going to do here.
Yeah, or it's what I said.
Okay, look, all you need to know is that we have no idea what we're doing.
Welcome
to the Asclepion.
Asclepion.
That's what I said. You possess a kind of... Is that too much? Is that too... I don't want that.
I would change your voice. It sounds kind of weird.
Voice?
I think you were just born that way, maybe?
Jesus. You possess a kind of inner force that seeks to guide you toward your life's task, what you are meant to accomplish in the time that you have to live. In childhood, this force was clear to you. It directed you toward activities and subjects that fit your natural inclinations, that sparked a curiosity that was deep and primal. In the intervening years, the force tends to fade in and out as you listen more to parents and peers, to the daily anxieties that wear away at you. This can be the source of your unhappiness, your lack of connection to who you are and what makes you unique. The first move toward mastery is always inward, learning who you really are and reconnecting with that innate force. Knowing it with clarity, you will find your way to the proper career path and everything else will fall into place. It is never too late to start this process. That is a quote from chapter 1.
Robert Greene.
Robert Greene, his book Mastery. Check it out. It's wonderful.
I read 48 Laws of Power when I was 19, and it was very powerful and also made me extremely paranoid that now everything in my life was sort of a power game. And but I think I came to a nice integration of all those ideas eventually. I like the idea of mastery a lot better, the frame of mastery, rather than living from the view that everything is a power game that's like Machiavellian to the core, and it's not a good way to live.
Yeah, that seems a little depressing, honestly. I mean, maybe it's real. I know power is certainly real, but this book, Mastery, is very focused on, an individual finding their calling in life and pursuing that to the utmost degree in line with their passion, basically. Just how do you become really good at what you love to do, and just how do you find what you love to do, which brings us to the subject of today's episode.
Luke, don't change the topic, or do change the topic.
I'm getting right into the topic of the day.
Let's sink our teeth into the meat of the issue.
We are focusing today on the idea of architecting your future. And in that sense, what we mean is, how do you consciously build an idea for yourself of what you want to do with the rest of your life, starting now, starting today? So, Kevin, as we've mentioned, I think, many times, is a life coach, meditation instructor, and he has a very deep set of philosophies with respect to this subject. But wow. I also have a few thoughts, so, I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit here.
You're being way too modest.
Yeah, I'm a genius. Sorry.
Thank you. Finally own it. You're a G.
I gotta get rid of my Midwestern nice and just be a total fucking douche.
Yeah, well, you just moved to Philly, so that ought to rub off on you pretty soon.
Very true. Well, okay, so you and I both really are drawn to this subject because I think you and I really care about fulfilling what we feel is our and one's potential, one's, I guess you could say, truest calling, or whatever just makes you most excited about life. That could be probably just about anything. That could be building houses. It could be math. It could be making whiskey. It could be painting. Um, it could be being a great parent, being a great friend. I know people who, have basically said, I don't care that much about what my job is. I just want to be a really good dad. And that's very beautiful. But I think you and I would probably know more people who would say either they don't quite know what their path is, or they know what it is and they've kind of strayed from it consciously or otherwise. They maybe just were too afraid. Maybe they chose a path of, a secure job. Maybe it was just out of fear and comfort, or maybe they had obligations like a family they had to support and they didn't feel like they could take the risk of starting a business or writing a sci-fi novel when they were 35, 40, whatever. It's super common, but I do think that a lot of people find great unhappiness when they kind of shrug off this deep calling, if they've ever felt it. And it's interesting to think of people not really ever having that recognition. Like that quote from Robert Greene was saying that in childhood, we usually feel this instinct of, oh, this one thing is so natural to me. You see lots of kids who get kind of obsessed with certain things. I was obsessed with tractors. I was obsessed with lawnmowers. So you could say, literally, I would go around my block and knock on people's doors as like a 4-year-old and say, hey, can I see your lawnmower? And they'd be like, are you kidding me? Some people were cool. They would let me do it. So, but I knew what type of lawnmower everyone on my street had. And I just loved to see them and sit on them and imagine I was riding them. And when I have a lot of farmers in my family, so when I got to ride on a combine for the first time, a combine harvester, it was truly an like out of body, mesmerizing experience. I think I was like 3 or 4, and I would sit up in the cockpit or cabin, whatever you call it, with my uncle, and I would be out there for like 10 hours, and I think I would barely say a word to him because I was so locked in to watching the bale pulling in all of the wheat or corn, and just this amazing process of this amazing machine doing all that work so efficiently. I was completely shocked. And so I guess you could say, looking back, one of my main inclinations is like a mechanical thing, a machine intelligence, something like that. And I haven't really fulfilled that longing because I've kind of come into other passions and things that I like. But lately, I've been thinking a lot about like I really want to pursue something like that. At some point in my life, I want to go back to that and build things or fix things or something. But that's just an example. I could easily look back in my childhood and say that was my obsession, and maybe there's something there that I should look into. But it's such an interesting subject because it does seem sort of rare to meet people who are like, I love my job. It's who I am. I've known it since I was a kid, and I just always stuck to my guns. And that's what I know. That's what I'm best at, and it fulfills me. And that's, I guess, what Robert Greene is calling a life's task. So I do think it's very important to at least try to reflect on whether whatever position you're at in life, is your job, is your career fulfilling you in that way, or is something in your life fulfilling you that way? Maybe it isn't your career. Maybe it's, like I said, your family. Maybe it's the sports that you play on the weekends, something. But if you don't have anything like that in your life, I think it'd be pretty hard to be happy, don't you think? To feel fulfilled?
Yeah, if you don't have anything in your life that doesn't make you happy and is fulfilling, then you won't be happy and fulfilled. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. Probably accurate. Um,
I love when you make me sound dumb, dude.
you walked into that one. I was imagining you on the tractor, and I think I'm going to call you John Deere from now on.
Please.
I remember I put you in the seat of the Q7 when I had that delivered, And I was like, all right, you drive, you consecrate it. And we're driving along on Old Stage, and you were like, I'm going to turn off the AC because, you know, that diverts energy from the engine. And I was like, yeah, but it makes you not as cool.
Yeah, dude. And then we let it rip.
Yeah.
I almost lost control.
Audi. Love Audis. All right. So couple thoughts. I'm suddenly possessed by this image of myself reading Laws of Power at age 19. And I just want to like presence how much Robert Greene's been a part of my life for the last, 17 years. He is a brilliant writer, and he's deeply impacted me. And I think he's right in his thesis around power, that it is something we need to pay attention to. And he's right in his thesis around mastery, that we all have something, a destiny, a chosen destiny, that if we engage with it fully and listen to the currents of our inner being and return to these moments of childhood when we felt this calling, this kind of unadulterated and unadultified calling, you can pull on those tendrils and kind of return to and rediscover this sense of childlike wonder and awe. And yeah, it's fulfilling and makes you happy, but it's so much more fascinating than that. I'll have these moments when I'm writing songs where I feel like the dream world is just moving through my soul, and I'm actually rediscovering a song, and it's writing me. And the process unleashes energy in me where it feels like literally there's nothing I'd rather be doing. And I have certain affirmations in my life where I'll think like I'm cultivating gratitude. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. I'm happy in the moment. I'm here now. I'm fulfilled. I'm turning up the dial on my fulfillment and happiness and engagement. And that actually works. But these are moments where that's actually happening, and I'm just completely out of the way. And maybe that's sort of the feeling you got as a kid when you were on the, what did you call it? Combiner? Combine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Being from the coast, we more had like Boston whalers and, ships and shit like that. We had farms, but I didn't grow up in the wheat fields of Nodak, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, man.
Never been on one of them combines.
You really should, dude. It's not many people get the chance to, and it's easily one of the most incredible machines that we've ever invented. And just to be up there, 40 feet off the ground, looking down at this thing. I mean, I'm sure you've seen them harvesting, driving through the Midwest or somewhere. Have you never, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I've driven through the Midwest. What's just like a giant like wheat gathering machine that you drive like a car.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's 40 feet tall. That's fucking crazy.
Like at least, maybe more. It's a massive. I mean, the latest John Deere costs over $1 million a piece. Combine. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. But it's
Damn.
when you see it in person, you're like, oh my god! It's almost like seeing a mini jet. It's that big. But anyway,
man. What do you think it was about the combine, like watching the wheels go round and round, that fascinated you so much? And do you feel that sense of fascination when you're doing like the machine learning stuff, or when you're trying to figure out a writing piece?
Hell no. Machine. No. Well, with writing, yeah, it's a different thing. But with all I can say is that, being that young, it had to have been purely instinctual. It was just something in my brain that I was born with, that I was so drawn to just being, like you said, I remember that too, being completely absorbed by this thing, how it worked. It was always, how does this work? What's on the inside of this thing? My grandpa would buy like old lawnmowers or computers, and we would just take them apart together, just see all the shit inside, right?
That fits for you. That fits.
Yeah. So before I ever was on a combine or a big tractor, I had bunch of John Deere toys. I had all these tractor toys and lawnmower toys, and Tonka trucks were awesome. I was a huge Lego nerd, but I don't know. All I could say was that, that part of my brain, whatever that part is that allowed me to be completely, utterly fixated on this one thing, it always just naturally clicked in when I was using or just around a machine. And I think it was usually a machine that had like an engine of some kind. I remember in there's a town called Rollag. I think it's in
Sorry,
North
what?
Dakota. Rollag. It's the Western Minnesota Steam Thresher Reunion. So I think it's every year. I don't know how long they've been doing this, but it's a massive. It's like a parade of all these crazy like old tractors, and a thresher was the first version of a combine. So they didn't. They used to. You can still see these like on the side of the highway in like North Dakota, Minnesota. Sometimes, basically, farmers would load, wheat or whatever grain they were trying to harvest. They would load the stalks onto this conveyor belt of the thresher, and it would pull it into the machine, and it would chop it up and get the actual grains out and spit out the stalks, out the back end, right? Just like a combine does today, but much more slowly. So this whole thing, the steam thresher reunion, was hundreds or maybe even thousands of these machines and all kinds of crazy mechanical shit. And again, as a kid, I would go, my grandparents would take me, and I wouldn't even talk. I was so fascinated by all of it. I remember
Mesmerized.
this one machine was so big that it took up an entire room, like a massive like cabin. And there's all these huge belts and like levers and pulleys and things going up and down. It's just so big and loud and fast, and I was just completely blown away, man. I was looking at all the different parts, how it all comes together, and I don't know, dude. It's just a natural thing. Like you read about some people who started singing when they were one, right? Like they don't probably know why, they just started doing it. But for me, it was always that. And the only other thing that I think I had at that age was words and music. I was definitely drawn to language at a young age. I was making up words. I was trying to understand the meanings of weird words. And then my mom played piano a lot, and I'd always ask her about, like, I remember she played the Moonlight Sonata, and at a really young age, I asked her why Beethoven wrote it so sad. And she said that she was, she thought that was interesting because I understood that this person intentionally wrote this song with an emotion, at that age. And those are the three things for me. Now I'm going on a tangent, man. But
Yeah, you are. And it's great because I want to ask you if your fascination with tractors translated in any way. Do you notice that childlike sense of wonder and awe and mesmerization in your life now? I'm assuming you're not going to go become a wheat farmer at this stage in your career because the Asclepion is way too popular. And the engagement, though, the fascination with things, with how things work, with how they operate. You were describing the cycles, the wheels, and just like being fascinated by systems like that. I get that when I write songs, when I'm coaching, when I'm understanding people more deeply, when I'm dropping into states of meditation and like clicking and unwinding patterns and getting more in touch with my soul. By the way, I had Legos too.
dude, Legos are probably the greatest toy ever, man. But yeah, dude, no, totally. I've thought about this, and I think you can generalize that sense of feeling compelled to understand how anything, any system or machine or whatever, how it works. What's on the inside of this thing, most of us only interact with the outside, the end product of stuff. But there's so much on the inside. Look at a computer. Look at these machines we're using right now. It's incredible how these things work. It's ridiculous. And most of us don't understand it, right? Most of us don't understand how a microprocessor works or even an operating system. It's super complex, but there's all that information is out there. And I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. But for me, like with writing, which is what I do most of my spare time, yeah, I guess that.
Damn fine writing.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's a meshing of that sense of how does this work, and then I do think I have a natural inclination towards language and music, and for me, music is inextricable from language, but yeah, how does the English language work? For me, that's my native tongue, but then how can I manipulate this medium for specific, end
For
results?
emotion, like an emotional outcome. Well,
Yeah.
to make people laugh, you send me your articles, and there's not been a single time where I haven't had a massive belly laugh. So you're actually you're able to convey the emotional outcome through the manipulation of words. Yeah, that's awesome,
Well, that's
because
oh, go
I'm
ahead.
seeing that, if I may,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm seeing that as the translation of your early fascination.
Interesting. Well, humor, writing jokes has its own, not rules maybe, but the intended effect is to make people laugh. It's so simple, the intention, what you're trying to do, but there are inner workings that you have to follow. You have to write in a certain way so that it will create this end result of triggering a very visceral reaction in the reader or listener, right? And non-humorous writing doesn't have to do that. Some of that has an intended effect. You intend to make people think about a certain subject, right? But comedy is so interesting because it has to be very quick. It has to be. You have to. What is it? The brevity is the soul of wit, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's things like
That was
that.
Shakespeare,
That
right?
is it him or Mark Twain? I can't remember. I should.
Maybe it's
That's
Twain.
embarrassing. Anyway, so that has been really interesting to see. Like,
Just
oh,
don't drag it out.
okay, sorry. How do you? But like, yeah, what are the parts, the moving parts on the inside of comedy that you can play with? And so when I
Yeah.
read something that I think is so funny, I'm like, how does that happen? How does that work? It's great to just read or listen to something or watch something and just laugh and have a good time. But then it's like, oh, you watch Superbad, such a silly movie, right? But then you're like, oh, actually, if you read the screenplay, you can see exactly what's going on. And, Seth Rogen, and this is also embarrassing, I'm forgetting his co-writer, but great writers, great comedy minds. They were doing it exactly the way a mechanic at John Deere would build a combine. There's an intended result, and they know how all the inner parts
Yes.
work.
Yes. Storytelling is a craft.
For sure.
Yeah, 100%. And with you, your desired outcome is humor.
Yeah.
And for me, my desired outcome is spiritual transformation, right? But that's why I love movies so much, because you watch a movie, there's a transformative arc of the characters. You watch them struggle with a challenge or a problem, and then be transformed by that. And then the outcome is, through watching it, you have your own kind of emotional catharsis, learn something, or maybe even grow through a good story or a play or a good song.
Definitely, man. One last point I want to add to that, and then I think we can segue to the less narcissistic stuff. No, just kidding.
Yeah, let's get into the pedantery.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much personal anecdote. Let's start telling people how it is.
Well, last thing I want to add is, and I'm still totally like on my journey of discovering my life's task, as Robert Greene would say, but one big part of it that I have recognized recently in the last year or two is, for me, comedy, especially performing comedy, when you make a room of strangers laugh, I think that is the fastest way to feel validated and approved by society, by your peers. You make other people laugh, you think, oh, they all like me. Right away, instantly. If you make anyone laugh, you're the cool guy. You're the funny guy. You're the guy who gives people a good time. And I, long story short, went through many years of not having a great time socially. In school, I was kind of bullied a bit, and I felt like a weirdo, a loner. I was a loner for a long, long, long time, and had really bad self-esteem, self-doubt. But the comedy aspect is like, I mean, ask any comedian, they'll tell you the same thing. They struggled with self-doubt and wanting approval from others. And so that's a more emotional aspect that I think has come into my life's task, which I think at least part of it is doing comedy stuff. So it's not just like this inclination of, oh, I have these skills or interests. It's like there's a strong emotional component too, where I feel a deep need to be liked by other people. And that might sound silly to you or others who don't feel that. But
Who?
I
Are you talking to me? Who are you talking to? To the listener?
I guess, or
I
you,
think everybody has that need. Everyone has that need
Fair enough.
to be liked by other people. No, man, you're saying, oh, I struggled. I wanted to be validated and approved of. I got into comedy. People laugh. I affect emotionally. But you could say that with anything. I mean, if you're making somebody feel something, that means you matter to them. And that mattering to other people is the core of our survival. That's not trivial, you know?
For sure. But I think that opportunity is not visible to a lot of people, you know? I think even people who enjoy their jobs don't always recognize like, let's just say you're good at your job. You're a software engineer. You work with dozens of people. Everybody knows you. People generally like you, your company. But like,
Can we have a name for this character? Can this person have a name?
Brian. Brian Hedgewick.
I was going to say Murkowski.
Okay, that's better. Let's make him Polish. I've noticed, and look, I've worked in corporate settings before, in office settings, which absolutely have their own parameters of expected behavior from people, and I fucking hate it, by the way. But anyway, I saw these opportunities to jump in and either make people laugh, tell someone, hey, I think you're really good at this, or yo, how's your weekend? Oh, that's crazy, or oh, that sucks, man, like, tell me more. There were always opportunities like that. And where was I going with this?
You were a human, in other words.
Whatever. I'm throwing this fucking point away. Never mind.
Open up your heart, man.
Oh, I know. I know why I fucking brought this up, because you were saying that, like, you impact people by making them feel something, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone knows that, dude. And, like, not everyone realizes how big of a deal it is to do that little bit of extra connection. I remember, like, I was a friend of mine in Boulder when I lived there. Her dog had recently died, right? And we went on this walk, and she was telling me about it. Yeah. She was telling me about it, and, I was basically just, I'm really sorry, that sucks. I've had that happen, it's really hard. And then she just talked for, like, whatever, 10, 15 minutes. And I didn't say anything in that whole time. And at the end, I'm thinking, God, I didn't really help her at all. Like, I barely said anything. I feel like I was kind of being lame. And then she goes, thanks so much. Like, I really appreciate you listening, and, like, it makes me feel a lot better. I'm like, what? Like, okay.
Dude, it's crazy. Coaching all the time. Like, I adopt kind of a 70-30 rule where a client should have the floor for most of the hour-long session. Sometimes it's like the 99-1 rule, and those often are the most impactful sessions.
Wait, 99 where they're 99? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
the classic therapist trope, right? How do you feel about that? And you just keep prompting them. Not that you're doing that, but
Sometimes, yeah.
you're just laying back on your couch smoking
Yeah,
a pipe.
yeah.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
What's true though, if you get into the emotional resonance, well, back to this thing about you mattering to people, you making people feel a certain way. Maybe that's why we're addicted to drama as human beings, because it's better to like have a relationship with somebody and it be contentious than not have a relationship at all, and we kind of get enmeshed in these funny conflicted relationships because evolutionarily our survival depended on us having relationships with other people and being together.
Hey guys, it's Kevin. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my business. Most of us are drifting aimlessly or walking a path somebody else set for us. It's a unique individual who carves out their own path and puts everything behind their skills and gifts, trusting the aim of their purpose and direction. While you're pursuing your chosen destiny, it's helpful to have somebody in your corner, a skilled spiritual mentor capable of calling out your deepest skills and holding you accountable to your own highest potential. Work with me, Kevin McKeag, Boulder's premier transformative coach and meditation instructor. Coaching helps you go farther, faster, and gives you the keys to happiness and well-being in the moment, even as you go after big, hairy, audacious goals. Visit kevinmckeag.com and sign up with me today. That's KEVINMCKEAG.com to claim your free hour-long discovery call. Live your highest vision.
Let's
Where are
veer
we
into
going
the
with this?
let's get into the fucking meat. All right.
Let's dig in with our
Okay.
incisors.
Brian Murkowski.
Brian Murkowski.
So I wrote down.
Listen, bro.
Wake up.
You've got a destiny, man.
So I wrote down some notes. I sort of imagined a person who is struggling. They're feeling like they are not connected to a higher purpose, simply meeting their life's task, or they don't really know what they want out of their future. They don't really see what their place is in the world, and they feel a little lost. So I want to start off. First, ask yourself, do I feel like I'm on the right path? Is my life heading in a direction that's exciting, that feels ripe with potential every day, that feels aligned with who I am, as deeply as I know myself? Are my relationships fulfilling? Is my job fulfilling? Am I living somewhere that stimulates and challenges and nourishes me? These are some of the starting questions to get you thinking about how you might want to refine your future direction. So I think the first stopping point, the first step, is to just start talking to yourself, maybe writing in a journal, and just be super honest as you can, as vulnerable as you can about where you're at now. What do you feel like are the gaps in your life? Is it your job? Is it something in your social life? What your mental health? Assess what those are. That will be a great starting point to see where you might need to start, building your next few steps in life, your future. In keeping with this theme of architecting, I just want to say, it should be a very conscious process. There is an element of unconscious movement here, progression, but to start off at least, I think it's very conscious to acknowledge, hey, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not heading in a direction that I like, and I need to change that. That's really hard, but that's the biggest point, I think. That's maybe the hardest thing to do, is just look at your life and say, man, this is not cool. I didn't want to be where I'm at. I told myself I wasn't going to do this, and yet here I am, and I have to change. That's huge, man. Anything to add on to that point?
I do. I think it is important to assess what's not working in your life and then decide to make a change, but not dwell on the things that aren't working, and actually develop the capacity to envision what you truly want, figure out what you truly want, and then envision it. And then I think there is magic to kind of holding a vision of what you truly want, where you slowly but surely start outgrowing your old life, because
Yeah,
life has changed. And that's terrifying because like there's not stability sometimes, but it's got promise because then life is plastic. And in some ways, life is organizing around your intention. And if you're constantly focusing on what's not working, sometimes it just creates more,
yeah,
of a rut.
for sure,
So
for sure,
you said consciously, yes, like can you consciously envision the things you do want
for
and
sure.
then live your life by that North Star?
Yeah. So that's kind of my next step here. It's but that's why I say it's hard, because not only do you have to recognize, oh man, I'm actually not in a great spot in some respect or many respects in my life, but then you have to not have so much guilt about that you feel even worse and you dive even deeper into your comfort zone. That's really hard. That's a continual process of not feeling guilty, not beating yourself up and saying, I really have to believe in myself to make this change and continue that growth. Huge throughout the whole process. So next step I have is reaching inward, finding your energetic core, your essential identity in order to discover your internal compass. What I mean by this is reaching inward into your inner voice, your inner mind, and finding that instinct, that feeling that is you, whatever that might be. So this is where it's a conscious choice to do this, but this feeling is much more intuitive than just like writing a list of like, I want to go to school, I want to apply for these jobs. This is much more of a deep, visceral, like Robert Greene was saying, your natural inclinations. Doing some meditating, doing some journaling, reflecting to get to this place. I think it's essential to be in contact with this as you go along, because otherwise you might just like, oh well, I applied for these jobs and it didn't work. Now what? Or like just being too surface level. Your intuition will change and grow as you go along in this path, and so it's good to make sure that you are in touch with it. And I think journaling and especially like talking to people in some way, hopefully you have friends or family you
Your
can talk
mom.
to. Yeah.
Call your mom and ask her.
Uh-huh. That's a good point.
So-
No, seriously. Mom, who am I?
I love
Yeah.
moms. My
Yeah,
mom's
dude.
birthday is coming up on the 10th. She's going to be 70. Shout out, mom.
Wow.
Love you, mom. Thank you,
That's
mom.
awesome. That's awesome, dude. Happy birthday.
She's going to get the best dessert ever.
Awesome, dude. They're the best.
Lemon coconut cake.
Ooh, are you gonna make it?
No, I can't make cakes. I don't know how. I know that's a limiting
That's
belief,
part
but
of
it's
your
true.
life's task, man.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I loved cake and I knew I would be a baker. My
And
life's
yet,
task was to devour delicious desserts.
I love that. Um, Anything to say on that? Cultivating your energetic core. Anything else there?
A quote from Rainier Maria Rilke. Did I pronounce that correctly, Luke? Is it Rilke? Rainier?
Doesn't matter. We're all gonna be AI soon anyway. What's the quote?
Be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves. Like locked rooms and like books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. Living life into the answers. So yeah, I love this idea of the energetic core, of getting more in touch with the source that's moving through you, of silencing your mind, of quieting your emotions, of quieting the static in your mind. My first meditation teacher, Chris Curran, he said, like, when you're meditating, you sit down, you imagine thoughts as clouds moving in to your internal screen and then letting them pass away. This kind of effortlessness of noticing thoughts, but not chasing them, not getting attached. And that way your inner being starts to manifest and you start to get in touch with your energetic core. And so I'm all about this being the compass, being the thing that magnetizes the circumstances of your blossoming towards you. The compass that directs you towards your magnetic north, your North Star, your energetic omega point.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I also, people talk about the voice in you that can't be ignored. Something tells you to do something and maybe you're scared, right? So you ignore it, but it keeps coming back. You have to listen to that, dude. That's your energetic core trying to tell you something. Whatever it may be, fucking listen to it. God damn it.
Eat this coconut lemon cake.
Yeah.
Eat all of it. Eat all of it.
So, next point here. Your ideal future is not one where you're merely content. It's one where you feel deeply fulfilled, stimulated, encouraged to evolve and broaden your mind, broaden your skills, your relationships for the rest of your life. If you feel merely content, ask yourself, what kinds of sacrifices have you made that haven't paid off? Did you maybe take a more secure, comfortable job because you thought you had to provide for your family and that was the end result? But now you feel deeply unsatisfied with that job. Has it maybe paid off for a little while? Maybe you had a couple of years where, you had a baby and you had to be secure, okay? But now things are a little more stable and you're feeling discontent. Maybe it's time to shake things up. Did you choose to not take a risk that would maybe propel you towards your dream job? Maybe you had an opportunity to start a business and you said no. Maybe that was the logical choice, or maybe it would have been great, but you were too afraid. Again, don't beat yourself up, obviously, if you said no. Like, there's going to be other opportunities to do that, but just to assess where you're at and ask yourself, am I just getting by? Am I just content? Because that's just not enough to make you feel really excited and fulfilled and super like you've brought out all of your potential. Yeah, that's the idea here. Reaching inside to find how you can channel all of that, your natural potential. Do you always seem to have an excuse not to do something? I always want to travel, right? I applied to this amazing teaching job in France. I was given the job twice and I rejected it twice. And people always tell me like, oh, what was meant to be is meant to be. And I'm like, okay, dude, but I also could have lived in France for like 2 years. Like, I'm pretty sure that would have been incredible. And like, sure, maybe it would have pushed me in a direction that wouldn't have been ideal for me. And I am happy where I'm at now in life, but come on, man. Like, that would have been sick. Like, I was afraid to take that leap a little bit. So whatever. It happens.
I'm commiserating. Are you done with this quote? But because I want to commiserate.
Go on.
So, you came out to Boulder in fall of 2020. We started hanging out. We had this immediate resonance because we both love music and movies and writing. You remember I was interviewing for that job at Sensei, the Four Seasons partner in Lanai in Maui County in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And they're basically like, here's your dream job. You're going to teach meditation all day to extremely wealthy clientele. Don't worry about food. We got you. There's a bit of a housing shortage on the island. So unfortunately, we're going to have to put you up in the Four Seasons. Sorry. And I was like, wow. Went through 4 rounds of interviews. First 3 went spectacularly well. 4th one just felt weird. Didn't hear back from them. They ended up going with somebody who was closer in proximity to them from one of the other islands for that job. And I was just so bummed. I was like, fuck, that was within my reach. It was my dream job. This universe sucks. That's how I felt. Why did that get put in my field of vision And when I went after it, it just got snatched away. It doesn't feel like anything is meaningful at all. Maybe I'm pursuing the wrong direction. Maybe this wasn't meant to be. Just having a moment of silence here for my former self.
Well, yeah, dude.
So then fast forward a few years later, I stuck with the coaching. I kept teaching, on my own, kept teaching meditation. Now I have a remote clientele. I can basically work from my cell phone anywhere I want. I found myself this year, I was in Hawaii on Maui in this beautiful home, and I was working with a client teaching meditation, and I looked up and I was like, well, shit, that dream, that desire that I had all those years ago, I got a taste for it. And look, years later, it's actually happening right now. It took a while to manifest, but the kernel of the thing now is real. It's in 3D.
That's cool. It's come around full circle a little bit, or maybe it's like skipping a rock on water. You have maybe the first one just plunges into it just sinks, right?
It
And you're like,
sunk.
I suck, right?
Yeah, just like my heart sunk that day.
And then the next one gets one skip, but then finally
Yeah.
you're gonna do one that just like boing 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 boing, boing, right?
Yeah, like, and by that same logic, I'm thinking you and I are gonna end up in Paris, just
Ooh,
hanging out, chatting. Maybe we'll record an episode in Paris.
we'll make an album called White Guys in Paris.
Who else is in Paris?
Dude, that was a Kanye West reference. You're supposed to know.
Oh, beep, boop, boop, boop. I ball so hard, motherfuckers want to find me. First fuckers gotta find me.
Yeah.
What's 20 grand to a motherfucker like me? Could you please remind me?
Kevin's got the bars, bro.
Hot bars.
Okay, now let's get a little more exciting. Look back in your life at the times when you felt really stimulated. This is actually tied to Kevin's peak life recollection exercise we had on the
Interesting.
Inner Voice Part
Nice
2.
callback.
Yeah, dude. We're putting it together here.
You've been doing your homework, bro.
Look at the times when you came into contact with something that seemed to come to you naturally. Sports, academics, socializing, whatever it might be. It's very likely that these moments of this natural connection and excitement are actually revealing your ideal life's path or future for you. There's something there that you should pay attention to. So if you feel like you've kind of forgotten what you really love, what makes you feel alive, look back in your memories. What was it? Did you love to play soccer and you were maybe pretty good at it and you haven't done anything with that since? Well, maybe you should think about becoming a coach or like a sports analyst or something related to that. Maybe it's telling you something. Maybe you should start running. I don't know. There's something there that maybe you can use. Or maybe it's not soccer. Maybe it's the fact that you loved reading Shakespeare in high school. Well, what is that? Have you done anything with that since? Maybe you should start writing poetry, like our man Elliot Rhodes on the last episode.
Rhodes.
Figure out what these things are, the times when you felt most alive, most like yourself, like this is my thing. Well, maybe it is your thing. Maybe you should do it again, bruh. What the hell? All right, sorry, getting too aggressive here. Now, how can you get back in touch with these things? Acknowledge again, like our man Robert Greene said, it's never too late. Yeah, you've got a family. Yeah, you have a mortgage, but so what? Do you have 0 minutes, 0 hours every day, every week of the rest of your life? Are you never going to have an opportunity to go back to these things at all? No, come on. If you feel like that, then maybe you should find some other way to make room in your life. Maybe there's a way you can, if you really want to go for it, maybe you have to work a little more to afford a little more childcare, or maybe you have to find a way to stay late at the office, and instead of doing that day job more, you work on your writing for a couple hours, 1 or 2 days a week. Tell your wife or your husband that you got assigned a big project that's going to take 6 months, and you have to put in an extra 6 hours a week.
In the pursuit of your passion and your purpose, nothing is off limits. Pursue your destiny by any means necessary, even lying to your spouse.
Yeah.
That's Luke's message here.
Exactly. Whatever you got to do.
It's more important. Yes.
Whatever you got to do. Yeah, but start small if you need to. Find the accessible things, the low-hanging fruit, the low-hanging cotton candy grapes. Whatever is most easy. I remember when I worked at Google.
Cake.
Yeah, find the lemon cake, bro. When I worked at Google as a linguist, instead of working, I would watch biographies and documentaries about artists I loved. And that was more fulfilling than the job I was supposed to do, obviously. And so I found ways to educate myself and be a better person.
And still make like your 6-figure salary.
Hell no, dude.
Which in San Francisco affords you like a broom closet with a meth addict curled up in the entryway.
I was making 60 grand in San Francisco, but I was lucky that I lived in a very affordable apartment, so I was okay. But yeah, I was certainly not rich when I was watching documentaries on the job. But it was great.
You were rich in knowledge.
Exactly, rich in procrastination. But when you do these, like, oh wow, I used to love art. Okay, go to a museum once a week, even if you have to travel an hour to go there. Take notes.
Yeah.
Let that excitement fill you up again. Something might spark that you were really surprised about. Who knows, dude? Just find some easy way to go out of your comfort zone a little bit, though. Like, take an improv class if you used to love comedy. When I was taking improv, there were people who were like 60 years old in my class. It's pretty cool, man. I mean, that takes guts. They had families. They were taking time away from their kids to do this, and they were really funny. They were really cool. So I thought that was awesome. And then if those are going well, if you like going to the museum or doing improv, how can you integrate those into your daily life? Can you commit to say, all right, I'm going to do improv once a week for 6 months, just once a week, and a couple hours a week, whatever it is. Can I paint a little every day? Well, once a week. If you love socializing, you love cooking, can I host a dinner party once a month? Something to just bring that into your life more regularly. Anything coming to you right now, man?
Yeah, so much, but I feel like I could go on this whole tangent. So if you want to complete this like list of instructions regarding this, please do. And then maybe we can kind of riff after that.
Well, I would just say keep experimenting with these different ways you can bring this activity or activities into your life more. Let's say you take a cooking class and you love it. You're like, oh my God, I have so many ideas for recipes. I want to take more classes. Okay. Start cooking for your family. Like, make amazing stuff a couple times a week. You know, be realistic with your schedule and everything, but push yourself a little bit to do more, continually do more. And then maybe you start cooking on TikTok, YouTube. Then maybe eventually you start thinking, I'm actually good at this. I'm going to try to do a little pop-up croissant stand at the farmer's market. That's so cool. Then you're making money. You're doing it every week, maybe just once a month. I don't know. It's becoming real. It's becoming a real thing. It's not just a little cute hobby. It's not just a little interest that you're too afraid to do. Now you're making it real, and nobody can deny that. And that's when you start building confidence. That's when you get that external validation, because people love your fucking almond croissants, and they're going to come to you every Wednesday.
Because it makes them feel something.
Yeah. They get that little sugar high.
They love you.
Exactly. Just keep ratcheting up that integration into your life until maybe you start your own bakery.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. I will say this as a parallel analogy. I started coaching and I felt like I had some initial successes, and it felt more like a paid internship because I'd have people come in, I'd get to practice my skills. They paid me, they come, they leave. 3 years. It was just kind of like this hobby almost. And then 2020, it started clicking. And one of my clients started working with me in January 2020, and he's still with me, right? So now there's this longevity from it. And every year there's more impact for them, and there are more clients coming in. People are staying with me longer, and it just grew and percolated and percolated. I had this dream last year that I was in San Francisco in the Bay, and I had this, like, those wooden pots with like the sheaths of wood that come up, and it has like an iron band around it. It's like one of those, you'd see them on the East Coast a lot, actually. It's like a flower pot basically, but made out of wood. There was all these like, do you know what rabbit's ears are? Is it lamb's ears? Lamb's ears. It's this soft leaf that's really fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
And they grow in kind of patches, right? And I had this dream that there were these lamb's ears in this pot. And when I went to shift it, the whole pot fell apart. And there was this mound of dirt with lamb's ears growing all over it. But now the lamb's ears had actually taken root and were covering the side of the hill that I was sitting on. And I took it as this analogy of having this small cultivar of clients that I was working to cultivate. And now it's taken root and it started to spread. And now, just like the color of money, this green, soft thing is starting to provide for all of my needs in my life. And it's become a full-time job. Whoa. And during the years when I was still a paid intern to my own business, there was constantly this feeling of like, wow, I'm really good at this. I love this. People are getting fed by it. I don't know what I'm doing. It's great. And I was learning. And then, fast forward, now it's a full-time job. And I feel like I'm there. It's a miracle, right? So that's one way in which your hobby that you engage little bit by little bit, inch by inch, row by row, becomes something that's actually supportive of you. And now you're it. Maybe it takes 5 years, maybe it takes 7 years, but you can dream it and then live it and then become it. Back to you, Lucas.
Dude, I mean, you're a perfect example of it, because like you said, the first time I met you, you were interested, almost 5 years ago, you were interested in life coaching. And I don't remember exactly the conversations we had about it. I hope that I was encouraging you, but like, it started off, as this kernel, and just became, I remember the struggles you went through. It was so slow. And I knew that you were really good the whole time. I was like, dude, look, this makes total sense. Like, this is a natural thing for you, and you are really good at it. And if you just keep going, something will happen. And you've really expanded a ton, dude. And so it's like you are a living example of, what I just said. So, but just that
Hey,
idea.
man, you've been encouraging to me through the entire thing. And you've also been encouraging to me around my music and writing and creative endeavors and everything. And that's why you're my ace, homie. You're just like a good person, and you're an incredible friend.
Man. Hey, right back at you.
Hey.
Motherfucker. Cute moment.
Oh, man. Here, pass the Kleenex.
I see you getting all flushed. Well, I only have a couple more points, and then I'm gonna hand it to you for your big spiel here. But
The crescendo?
yeah.
Oh, man. That's a lot of pressure.
A big note is that and Robert Greene's book Mastery supports this too, but when you're thinking of architecting your future, your life's task, your ideal path, whatever you want to call it, it isn't just about putting a ton of energy into this one thing, oh, I'm going back to school and I'm just going to work super hard and like I'm going to become a lawyer or whatever. Like he said, when you get started on this path for real and you commit to it, everything else will fall into place. And that may sound a little cheesy, but I think the way that I would rephrase that a little bit is your whole life is made up of these sort of buckets of energy. So, like I was saying, you've got your work, you've got your relationships, you've got your inner world. These elements of your life will all interact and stimulate each other. So, by investing more energy in finding your dream job and making it real, your relationships will get better because you're happier, you're more creative, you're more inspired, you're more energized. And by improving your relationships, those will in turn improve your energy towards your job. They'll give you more ideas for your work. I think your mental health will improve because you'll get more confident. Being creative naturally, at least for me, makes me more confident. So it's this reciprocal feedback loop from all these aspects in your life. I mean, dude, when I'm like feeling most creative and most in touch with who I am and all that stuff, I feel healthier. Like, I don't get sick. I feel energized the whole day. The only downside is sometimes I have trouble sleeping because I'm so up on like ideas and everything I want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's why you need some CBD. My roommate and I are founding a CBD company.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to send you a bottle.
What?
Yeah.
Bro, you didn't tell me.
Like, that's because we just decided yesterday.
Oh my God. That's sick,
yeah, everything
man.
just came. Yeah, we're going to start producing these little bottles of CBD.
That's amazing, man. Wow.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Do you have a name yet?
Yeah, probably Lil Texas.
Little Texas?
Lil Tex, yeah. Because he's from Austin, dude. And so everything in Colorado, we have some competition in the market. That's great. There's a lot of CBD. It's great stuff. I took some the other night and I slept like a baby. But yeah, everything here is like, blue sky, mountain, sun, Colorado pine, whatever. We're like, why don't we do like a Texas theme? So yeah, we're gonna start like playing with the name, but probably Lil Tex or Texas Tea or something like that. CBD.
Nice. I like that, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats,
Yeah.
dude. That's awesome.
Get yours today.
But that's what I'm talking about, dude. Like, maybe that idea wouldn't have even come to you, or the opportunity wouldn't have presented itself to you if you hadn't built the confidence from your life coaching and the continual process of progressing towards your dream life. Who knows, man? All these little things branch off of this path. That's how I view it. It's like you're walking down this path, and there are these little offshoots that open up that wouldn't have opened up before. And when I like go on a hike and stuff, I love finding little shortcuts or secret paths, and I always take them, and they almost always lead somewhere cool. Sometimes they lead to a bunch of poisonous plants, and you have to run away. But,
Yeah, or you get eaten by a bear.
Yeah, watch out for that, guys.
Or turned into a newt.
But it's hopefully that I'm just saying this mostly to be inspiring and encouraging, because you'll notice other areas of your life are improved when you didn't even do anything directly to improve them. So by getting a better job, you're more energized to work out more. You get more money so you can travel more. And then you meet someone else on this travel who's like, I'd like to invest some money in your venture. It's like, who fucking knows, man?
Yeah.
All that's going to feed into each other. Okay, last thing I'm going to say is, this is, I think, like the last, the apex of this path. Your future is not yours alone. What else, who else do you want to impact? Do you want to do something that will impact your friends, your community, maybe even your country? When you get to a certain point of understanding your life's task and making it real and getting confident, don't limit yourself to just thinking that it's your thing, it's your activity. I live in Philadelphia now, and I'm seeing every day examples of how our founding fathers, I guess we refer to them as, people like Benjamin Franklin, their ideas were the things that helped to envision the principles and the theories that we're going to forge this country, the whole country. The vision for this country was started by people, very smart people, coming together and saying, this is how we want to combine our best ideas. And, obviously we could talk about how they're not perfect. They haven't played out perfectly. But the main point I'm trying to say is that they weren't just thinking, oh, we want to build this little, community in Philadelphia and keep it there. It's pretty cool, but like we're good with only having a few dozen members. No, they were thinking about the entire country.
Yeah.
But they had their individual, all these guys brought their individual life paths and ideas together to deliberately impact the entire country. That's pretty crazy. But I do think that nowadays there's so much bad shit going on right now in our country and in the world that we feel defeated, we feel helpless, or at least we feel like, damn, you know what? I'm just going to take care of my own life and that's good enough for me. I don't even want to think about the rest of the fucked up country and I get that, but we really need people to step up, man. Like if you want to be a painter, please share that with the world when you get to a point, at least post them on the internet, bring them to your local gallery, something. Try to spread that energy out because that energy of you being you is so powerful. It really is. And again, it doesn't matter if it's painting or doing new kinds of math or perfecting the cartwheel. I don't know. Get it out there somehow. Think of ways, and maybe this is, a little bit further down the road, but yeah, think about how you can do things that will expand your reach, dude. We need that.
That reminds me of a really funny story. Hiatus Coyote was coming to Boulder. I was like, bet I'm going to get tickets. My entire life fell apart because I was going through this weird developmental thing called Stage 5.0 for all you development nerds. Couldn't afford tickets, literally. I was like broke. Like my life just fell apart. I went to the show anyway. I circled around the building. This guy showed up. I was about to buy a ticket from one guy. I was like, oh my God, the universe loves me. It sent me this angel from heaven that I can pay $50 to buy this ticket. And then this other guy passed by and he was like, hey, do you need a ticket? And I was like, yeah, but I'm going to buy from this guy. And the guy was like, well, I'll give you one for free. And I was like, cool. And he's like, but you have to do a cartwheel. And then I nailed a cartwheel, which I haven't done. I don't know how long it's been, but I nailed the cartwheel. I got the ticket. And then you and your then girlfriend showed up and you're like, hey, what are you doing here? And I was like, well, I just copped a ticket from my perfect cartwheel. And then we had a great time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember you being there. Yeah. Manifesting, bro. I watched this Cormac McCarthy interview and he was like, yeah, in my early days, my early writing career, I like intentionally avoided getting any kind of bullshit corporate job or like bogging myself down in that shit. And when I didn't have enough money for a toothbrush, all of a sudden I'd get a package in the mail and there was a toothbrush in it. And he just like winked at Oprah or whoever it was, right? And you're just like, God damn it, that's so fucking cool, man. That's crazy.
It's wild, brother. Well, and you could argue that him maybe having to take random odd jobs. This was like Frank Herbert, who wrote Dune. He did all these, he had such a varied career, but then all those experiences allowed him to write science fiction's preeminent masterpiece because he knew so much random stuff from all these different positions he had held. Maybe McCarthy too.
Maybe, yeah. So, well, I think that's a nice bridge into, I think, the main thing you wanted to talk about in your little voice memo that you sent to me this morning that I played while I made my tea.
Yes. So recently, one of our listeners told me that he was all caught up on the episodes, and I was like, well, everything making sense? You enjoying it? What do you think? He's like, yeah, everything's great, except what was the story about you on a nude beach getting confronted by this guy? And I realized that I teased that story and I didn't tell everybody what happened.
And to hear the story, you'll have to check out part 2. Haha, gotcha.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Asclepion. We hope you enjoyed the show and that you feel uplifted, empowered.
Yeah, just make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on X and all that shit, alright?
Farewell, friends.